There has never been a better time to play World of Warcraft than right now. And while I never thought I'd be able to say that with a straight face, it certainly is true. WoW offers so many different ways to experience the game, and across all of those versions, each game is high quality and is great, and also bad, for reasons that are balanced out by other versions of the game. New players, returning, young, old, casual, hardcore, no matter who you are, if you like MMORPGs or want to try one out, there has never been a better time to play World of Warcraft. Let me explain. To start and end this conversation, I'm going to talk about versatility, because the ultimate value of WoW is that there are so many great ways to experience this game. But first, I need to break down each version of the game and discuss its quality and value in its respective niche. There are currently 4 wonderful and different ways to play WoW, and by December of 2023, there will be a 5th way to play the game. These are all the different versions of current WoW: Retail World of Warcraft, Wrath of Lich King Classic, Vanilla Legacy servers, Hardcore WoW, Season of Discovery. What this means for gamers is choice, a sort of charcuterie board of different ways to play a similar formula of game. Each game boasting different pros and cons that sort of interweave into a net that can capture almost any gaming fan. No matter what you like in a game, almost anyone can find something here. Anyone nowadays can find a home somewhere in Azeroth. So in search of that home, let's start where the game started out almost 2 decades ago. The first version of the game I'd like to talk about is Vanilla Classic Legacy servers. The most important aspect of this version of the game is community. And on the Legacy servers, the community is absolutely thriving. There's always been a sort of cult following for the original version of the game that is carried over to these official servers. These servers try to capture the original feeling of the game as it was released in 2004. With minimal changes and a focus on old-style MMORPG ideals, unique and unbalanced class combat, rewarding and steady progression, and a well-developed story that encourages you to explore the world. The best way to describe Vanilla Classic is the adventure is in the journey, not the destination, and it really is an incredible journey. I mean, this game is what paved the way for modern MMORPG design and took the world by storm, not just once in 2004, but also a second time in 2019. If you find yourself tired with current game design when looking around the landscape, or if you often say, they don't make games like they used to, I think this is a great game to try out anytime. It's classic, it's timeless. The game represents a time in gaming where things weren't efficient, and that's okay. It's a time where classes aren't balanced. The journey is the game, but when you get to the end game, gearing is accessible for everyone, and you don't need to play hours a day to be competitive. And community, reputations, play interactions, all that stuff matters. It's a game locked in a 2004 time capsule for you to enjoy for the foreseeable future. Vanilla Classic provides a minimum of 200 hours of gameplay for the cost of $15 per month, and if you really love the game, you can expect thousands of hours of gameplay at your disposal. But what if you like the idea of an old-style MMORPG, but you want that challenge? You want choices to matter at the highest level at all times. Maybe you're a gambler and enjoy high risk. A perfect segue from classic legacy servers is classic hardcore. This version of the game was basically demanded by the community and has since become a staple game for a lot of players across multiple versions of the game. Also, it's probably the top watched WoW content on Twitch and YouTube outside of unique events that pop up. I mean, this version of the game has gotten so popular, it has, as of the last few weeks, completely spilled over into the mainstream gaming space and has even pulled in big names that you don't think of when you talk about MMORPGs.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It really has transcended gaming norms, and there is a simple reason for that. It's great and it's fun to watch. It combines what people love about classic WoW and turns the stakes up to 1,000. It takes what some would consider to be a boring game and turns it into a high-stakes sweatfest. The draw of absolute mastery over a 20-year-old game by constantly waging hundreds of hours of game time with each pool is mad appealing. And from a player perspective, there's nothing more terrifying than almost making a mistake that could take 20 to 200 hours of gameplay away from you like that. Hardcore Classic is amazing for the same reasons that Vanilla Classic is, but it's even harder than before. And there's stakes. The same things that you find in Vanilla, which are community, non-existent class balance, straightforward boss mechanics, simple but impactful combat, meaningful professions, and massive world design, are here too. It's a very engaging way to play the game, and if you liked Classic but found it boringly easy, try Hardcore. You will die. and you will likely go again. It's easily an A-tier way to play the game, albeit a niche, and just like classic vanilla, all you need to play is a $15 a month sub for what can easily be thousands of hours of gameplay. But if you're completely against the idea of an old style MMORPG, WoW has an answer for that too. There's a version of WoW that some would consider to be the exact opposite of classic WoW. Everything from the story, from how the story is told, to how classes work, to what endgame looks like. Retail WoW is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's say you hate classic vanilla. The game is too simple. Your class hits 2 buttons, and that's boring. You're tired of walking everywhere. Your ADHD isn't stimulated enough. You believe falling for microtransactions is a choice, and one that you're willing to make with your parents' debit card, of course. And besides, old MMORPGs are old for a reason. And story? You skip the cutscenes. Who cares? Well, if you feel that way, then Retail WoW might be for you. Retail WoW, despite all of its seemingly negative press, is still an outstanding MMORPG and is certainly still one of the most popular new MMORPGs that you can play. It's A tier in the genre, and it's a fantastic way to experience WoW, especially right now. Retail WoW has deep and meaningful class design. Abilities feel impactful, rotations are complex but rewarding, and classes feel discernible from one another thematically and mechanically. And not only do classes feel good, the in-game content in Retail WoW is absolutely spectacular. From a PvE perspective, no other game does raids quite as well as WoW has. From boss design to thematics to overall consistency and accessibility, WoW retail raids just hit different. They spout multiple tiers of difficulty, ranging from brain dead boomers getting together to see the content, all the way up to massive teams of professional players competing for multiple days on end in an attempt to clear the latest raids first. The proof is in the pudding here. Current WoW raids are second to none and provide incredible content for a wide net of players of various skill and goals. Not only are the raids top-notch, if you can't find yourself sinking anywhere between 2 and 8 hours in one or multiple nights to raid, Retail WoW also has content in the form of Mythic Plus dungeons. These are essentially bite-sized in-game content that can range from casually getting gear with your friends to racing on leaderboards to tackle what is extremely challenging content and in a lot of ways equivalent to Mythic level raiding, just on a smaller timescale. Not only is the PvP endgame fantastic, let's talk about PvP. Look, for MMORPGs, PvP has always been a tough thing to nail down, but Retail WoW does a great job of creating a PvP environment with a lot of complexity and a high skill ceiling with multiple ways of enjoying the content. And that's not to say that everything is great about both of those aspects of the game. It's just a different way to play, and it's still great. Retail WoW will cost you anywhere from $30 to $60 depending on when you decide to buy the game, and it requires a sub, but again, like the other versions of the game, you can get absolutely lost here. Thousands and thousands of potential gameplay hours await you here. And that's gotta be at least like 800% value or something. Overall, Retail WoW right now is a great game. And while it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it does certainly have its issues, it certainly touts intricate and interesting class design, a deep and enjoyable endgame, and really bad storytelling.
It was about coming together as a family.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
But let's say retail just isn't for you. Not only that, but you also don't like classic vanilla, and you don't like hardcore either. You don't like any of these versions of the game so far. Let's say you're looking for something in between 2 button rotations and whatever this is. You want to complete the highest end content, but you can't play every single day. You can't push high end dungeons, and you don't have 20 hours a week to raid. But also, vanilla raiding is just brain-numbingly uninteresting. Classic Wrath of the Lich King and Cata fills that gap too. Classic Wrath of the Lich King and Cata is a great experience that fills in the holes left by retail and classic vanilla. It lands smack dab in between vanilla and retail. Current classic is essentially a greatest hits tour where Blizzard releases previous expansions as new content. It's a journey back in time. It's like the Goldilocks zone for WoW. Class design is better. Instead of just hitting Shadow Bolt as Warlock, you get to actually have an interesting rotation, but it doesn't go so far that I need to have a college degree to understand my opener. Class identity is still here. As a warrior, I'm a warrior. That experience feels unique to other classes, but not so much so that I literally don't stand a chance in PvP against a mage, because there is a straight up lack of balance, but also not so much so in the other direction that all classes have answers to everything that can be thrown at them. It has a lot of the features that makes vanilla charming, like useful professions and server communities, but enough of the retail features like multi-tiered difficulty and LFG to keep the game fun or efficient. Current Classic has notes of both current and old school game design, and it has filled a well-needed niche in the community. However, there is some weakness in being smack in the middle of 2 titans. Oftentimes, being in the middle can be seen as the best of both worlds or the worst of both. It can also be seen as safe and therefore sort of uninteresting. And while you might disagree or you might not, regardless how you'd rate Cata and Wrath of the Lich King, it's still a good game, especially when looking at the MMORPG landscape right now. Even if you consider Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm to be the worst versions available, it's still easily a B tier game. And again, with thousands of hours and only $15 a month, it's great value. And it's just another option to play the game how you want to play it. So if you still aren't convinced to give WoW a try, there's even another version of the game coming out at the end of November in 2023 called Season of Discovery. I won't be able to say how good or bad it will be until it comes out, but it's gotten a ton of hype and seems really interesting. It's going to continue building on the recent success of Vanilla Legacy by combining retail-like systems into the old version of the game to hopefully create some new and interesting way to play the game, but still feel like Vanilla WoW. It's kind of really bold of Blizzard, to be honest, and it could really be great, or it could be terrible. But like I said, with so many different ways to play the game, with so much value to be had, and with so much quality you can find across all the versions of the game, playing WoW going into 2024 is such a great decision. Whether you are a returning player or never picked it up, give it a shot. The community has never been stronger. The options have never been more diverse. The game has never had this great of a state across the board. Even the worst possible version is still really good, and there's so many different ways to play. So maybe try it out, because there's never been a better time to play World of Warcraft. I've been Java Monkey J. Peace.